Hi, welcome to Bookie. Today we will unlock the book The Chrysanthemum and the Sword. When we hear Japan mentioned, we perhaps think of cars, animation, electronics, sakura blossoms, shrines, and Japanese service. Indeed, Japanese products and services can be found across the world. They are accepted and used globally and are generally praised for their high quality. After World War II, in order to satisfy Japan's need for economic development, Japan started to export their products to many countries around the world. Japan also encouraged Japanese enterprises to step out of Japan and take part in international acquisitions. For example, in 2018, Takeda Pharmaceutical Company acquired Ireland's Shire Pharmaceutical Company for 7 trillion Japanese yen. Japan's SoftBank Corporation acquired 51 projects worldwide at a total cost of 9 trillion Japanese yen. According to statistics, in 2018, Japanese corporations made 32 overseas acquisitions worth over 10 trillion yen. This was an increase of 70% compared to the previous year. The number and cost of global acquisitions reached a historical high. Japan's expansion will not stop, and it is very likely that some of our future colleagues, partners, neighbors, or new friends will be Japanese. Thus, learning more about the culture, characteristics, and values of Japanese people is practical and meaningful for our international exchanges and cooperation. Historians tell us that all behavioral patterns are based on cultural backgrounds. Therefore, we should begin by learning about the origin of Japanese culture to understand the behavioral patterns of Japanese people. This book, The Chrysanthemum and the Sword, is a classic that analyzes the origins of Japanese culture and studies the character of Japanese people. The author of this book, Ruth Benedict, is an American cultural anthropologist who specializes in cultural anthropology and is involved in long-term studies on different national cultures. She wrote The Chrysanthemum and the Sword in the later period of World War II. At that time, Germany was already destined to lose the war, and the United States was in desperate need of a post-war policy for Japan. However, due to the culture differences between the Western and Eastern societies, and the lack of a deep understanding of Japanese culture, the U.S. remained undecided on its policy towards the country. Would the Japanese government surrender or not? And if Japan surrendered, should the American government utilize the Japanese government and keep the emperor? In order to make the right call, the American government decided to encourage experts of various fields to study Japan, resulting in the publication of The Chrysanthemum and the Sword. It became known as a groundbreaking work of modern Japanology and spread widely, enduring over a long period of time. Next, we will discuss Japanese culture together by answering 4 questions. Question 1. How should we understand Japan's strict hierarchical concept of taking one's proper station? Question 2. How can we understand Japanese culture's attachment to gemu and giri? Question 3. What is the contradiction in Japanese people's attitude towards sensory pleasure? Question 4. What moral dilemmas exist in Japanese culture? If somebody desires to get to know Japanese people, he or she must first understand their dependence on hierarchy. We can compare the importance of Japanese people's dependence on hierarchy to American people's belief in liberty and equality. Japanese people's belief in hierarchy not only determines their relationship with political power and how they relate to one another, but also influences how they handle international relations. So, how do we understand hierarchy in Japan? The answer can essentially be summarized in 4 words: taking one's proper station. This means that people of each class need to act in accordance with the orders of that class. It can be seen in family and social interactions when family members adopt different behavioral norms according to their generation, age, and sexuality. From the perspective of social interaction, children must observe and learn etiquette, and cultivate a sense of hierarchy from an early age. Those of you who have been to Japan may have experienced the complexity of Japanese etiquette. In social